Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Boston Tea Party podcast on the All Day Football Show. I'm your host, Jackson Kellogg, and today we'll be getting into episode 9, as today we'll be doing a redo of the predictions and analysis for week 6 against the Broncos, as the Patriots got a bye last week because of what happened with the COVID cases and whatnot. So their game is now this weekend. Still at home on Sunday. They had their bye for week 5, which is a little bit of an issue for the Patriots. Now they weren't really expecting a bye that week, and they went through a whole lot of trouble. So it didn't really seem like a bye week. And as always, transactions from the last week. So getting right into it, I meant week 6 up at the top there. Just pretend that says week 6. So Cam Newton and Stephon Gilmore were taken off of COVID list, so they will play on Sunday against the Broncos, as well as with the almost 2 weeks of rest. Drew Lock will be back for the Broncos, and Brett Rippon will not be the starter, as Drew Lock will be thrown back in. But the issue for the Broncos is that they've still dealt with injuries of their own. Melvin Gordon didn't make the trip with an illness. Cortland Sutton is out for the year. Noah Fant is out for this game. So the Broncos are going to be without a bunch of offensive weapons. So I feel like it's going to be very tough for them to get something going on the ground. Phillip Lindsay is coming back, so that's good for them. But I feel like with the way the Patriots defense runs, they're either going to shut down Jerry Jeudy or Phillip Lindsay. I feel like the best situation for the Patriots would be to throw 7-8 players in the box, stuff the run, and force Drew Lock to throw it to the little receiver weapons they have, and just you put Gilmore on Jerry Jeudy, and then you scheme up different coverages for the rest of the players, and I think you can have a very easy shutdown of the Broncos offense. So now defensively, the Broncos aren't what they used to be as this crazy defensive front that always used to stop Patriots offenses back when they had Peyton Manning. So now that doesn't happen so much anymore, and the defense is nowhere near what it has been in the past. And with Cam Newton getting some time to rest, and the whole offense has been banged up the last couple weeks, and now they actually had a chance to get off of those injuries. Like Edelman is less injured now. Harry was dealing with an injury the last couple games. So now the Patriots are healthy offensively. They did just lose Sony Michel, Shaq Mason, and Derek Rivers, because Sony Michel got COVID. So that was breaking news not too long ago. I actually just got that, so my transactions page isn't going to look like what it should. So Sony Michel got COVID, so he's going to be out for at least 1 week. Shaq Mason and Derek Rivers were put into quarantine because of contract tracing. So now both of those players, based off of the new COVID rules, will be out at least 5 days. They have to quarantine, and then they could come back after negative tests or repeated negative tests. So Michelle was on injured reserve anyway, so I think that's a showing of what the incubation period does, because Michelle went on injured reserve before the Broncos game was supposed to happen last week, and you see that it's been almost 2 weeks, if not longer, since Cam Newton got COVID, and you're seeing what's happening with the Patriots. As it was Cam, then they were good for a couple days, and then Stephon Gilmore popped positive. Then a couple days later, no positives, and then Byron Cowart got it, and then no cases. Then a couple days later, now Michelle got it. Like, there's an incubation period with COVID, and the Patriots are getting the hit of it. So I think Cam Newton's going to be able to put up a nice showing against this Broncos defense that does a lot of blitzes, rushes a lot of different personnel. They like to use their inside linebackers in their blitzes. So the O-line is going to have to hold up. I think the offensive line is going to look something like, so Isaiah Wynn's healthy, so he'll play left tackle. Michael Onu will probably play left guard. They'll shift Joe Tooney to center after James Ferentz actually just got put on COVID list too. I forgot about that as well. So the offensive line is very low in depth right now. So Joe Tooney's probably going to play center. Either Hajalti Froholt or Justin Herron's going to play right guard, and Corey Cunningham will play right tackle, or they'll put Corey Cunningham at right guard and throw Justin Herron at right tackle. Who knows? But it's going to be a very young and raw offensive line that's going to be playing against the Broncos. So that'll be, I think, the hardest situation for the Patriots to deal with, and that leads to the point of, will the Patriots be able to get to the offensive running game going? So Damian Harris will probably be the lead back due to Sony Michel not playing. They get James White back after he dealt with the death of his father. So we'll get James White back, Rex Burkhead, and J.J. Taylor will also probably take some carries as well. But I think the main goal is going to be getting Damian Harris going. As right now, Damian Harris and Sony Michel are in a battle this season to decide who's going to be the running back going forward. Is it going to be Michel, who had his moments in his rookie year, especially leading the Patriots to a Super Bowl title, and then since then he hasn't been very consistent and hasn't been proving himself of a first-round pick. Whereas Damian Harris, he kind of had a redshirt year last year as a rookie, and now this year, he's really getting into his own as a running back. Last week, one of his first games playing, actually I think was his first ever game playing, he rushed for over 100 yards against the Chiefs. So if they can get Damian Harris going, it'll help a lot with getting this game to a nice, easy win. So my predictions for this game: Patriots are going to win 38-13 is my score pick. I don't think the Broncos are going to be able to get much going offensively, and Cam Newton and the Patriots have been scoring a ton of points on better defenses than their own, or than the Broncos. So I definitely think it's going to be a blowout. I think Cam Newton finally gets his passing game going. I think he's going to throw for 3 touchdowns in this game, and the defense will also get 3 turnovers. I'm going to go with 2 interceptions on Drew Lock and a fumble somewhere, or maybe like a muffed kick or something like that. Now getting into weekly transactions. So again, there's a lot of COVID movement that went on, so I'll get into that in a second. So the Patriots signed defensive lineman Carl Davis to their active roster from the Jaguars practice squad. They elevated offensive lineman Caleb Beninoch from the practice squad to the active roster. And now, so James Ferentz and Sony Michel got COVID, and then Shaq Mason and Derek Rivers were also put on COVID list because of contact tracing. So those 4 players are now on COVID list. So now the Patriots made some moves for COVID elevations, and that included tight end and defensive end Rashad Berry being moved up to the active roster, as well as defensive lineman Nick Thurman and wide receiver Isaiah Zuber. So now the difference between this and a normal COVID elevation and a normal practice squad elevation is COVID elevations do not count to a player's normal practice squad elevations, which is they can only be elevated twice. So once it happens twice, if they're elevated again, they have to stay on the active roster for the rest of the season. And if they're put on back on the practice squad the next time they are signed from the practice squad, they must stay on the active roster for the rest of the year. But now with a COVID elevation, that doesn't count to that number. So you can have a COVID elevation as many times as you want, and it won't count to the active roster normal elevations. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to subscribe, leave a like. Would help a lot. Hope you guys all enjoyed. Have a great football Sunday tomorrow, week 6 of football Sunday. And let's go root for those Patriots tomorrow.